You're watching Next Pitch, the student athlete playbook for parents raising tomorrow's athletes.
Hi, Anthony Leverett, host of the Next Pitch podcast, and I am joined by Hannah Huesman of Mental Sweat. Hannah, thank you. Episode number 14. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me. Episode 14, that's kind of our family's lucky number, so this is going to be a good one.
Well, it's positive. That's so corny. I just did that because this episode is about the positive power of positive thinking and optimism. And people always think that I'm overly optimistic. I am never been half full or half empty glass. Yeah, I am. Give me the damn glass, I'll fill it up myself kind of guy. And but I think a lot of positivity is how your brain works, right? And let's start with the other end of this. What is the danger of negative self-talk, pessimistic thought process, and how being negative can impact us? Let's go there first.
Yeah. I mean, I think most people have seen or at least heard of even like the research on constant just negative and bad feedback and what that does to us, right? Like even I think when we were like in kindergarten or first grade, we did you get a plant, right? And one plant you do positive vibes into, and the other plant you just like are mean and bad and harsh words, whatever. And the plant literally dies. Like
don't do that to a plant. That's not.
It was a lesson. It was a lesson. So I think it's deeper than what people think. And right, it's like the old thing of like words cut deep, and they do, and we can only fend off so much. But if we keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again, eventually we're going to believe it, even if what we're hearing is coming from ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not good enough, you're going to fail. Oh, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to make a mistake. Well, right. What's the quote? If you say you will, or you say you won't, you're right. Like, and it's so true. Like we can, self-sabotage, we can encourage, we can do these things. So if you don't think that it's not real, that negative self-talk doesn't impact you, look it up. Like just Google it. And I will say there is a difference, and people are like, right. And I was one of these people. Like if a coach came and yelled at me, I would play better, or said, you suck right now, I would all of a sudden be playing better. And so I think one of the main things we need to realize is there's a difference between negative and positive self-talk versus like hurtful and helpful self-talk. Right. So we label like negative self-talk, like you suck is negative self-talk. Okay. But if you say you suck, you're better than this, let's freaking go. It's still technically negative, but it might be helpful. Right. Yeah. And so I think differentiating between the negative or hurtful self-talk is more important than like, is it helping or hurting? Not necessarily just is it negative or positive, and we can dive into what overly positive means too. But to answer your original question, right, it's like constant reinforcing the bad or the negative is going to impact you, whether you believe it is or not.
We'll get into a little bit of corporate America today, and we'll get into maybe a little bit about coaches, but I want to we just did one on leadership and spent a lot of time talking about to coaches and to leaders of organizations. I want to talk about parents today. So I'm parenting a child, and how do I be realistic with my children, right? Optimism versus fairy tale land. We want to have that positive self-talk, but I can't overdo it, because then I create maybe some false expectations of what may be happening for me.
No doubt. And actually research says that being like overly positive, like fake positive, can actually do just as much damage as potentially negative self-talk.
Give me an example of that.
Like say let's say you're a baseball player and you go up there and you're like, oh, I suck, I'm going to strike out. Okay, great. You strike out. Okay. Then that's the one end, right? That's the negative. Then you go up there and the next one you go up there, oh, I'm going to hit a home run. Okay. Then you get up there and you don't hit a home run. Well, then what happens? Right? Then it's the same exact feeling of disappointment as when you weren't going to strike, as when you said you were going to strike out, you were disappointed. And so it's like, it's not realistic to think, okay, every day I'm going to go outside and say, I'm going to hit a home run. every single at bat, I'm going to go out and hit a home run. Like, it's not realistic. And so what is realistic is something that's like, okay, this pitcher's good. I know his stuff. I know what he's going to bring. I have a pretty strong feeling of what he's going to pitch me. I'm going to sit on my pitch and I'm going to swing as hard as I can when I see that pitch that I want to hit.
So
you don't even
do my best.
Yeah. You don't even really think about the results. You just think about the thing that you can control.
Yeah.
So I think it's as parents, you got to be careful because you mean so well, but also like, especially when they get to be like teenagers and you're like, you're amazing. They're like, why are you even talking? Right. Like, I was horrible. Right. And so it's like, they know they didn't play good, especially when they start to create that self-awareness, when they know they didn't play good or they know they did play good. Right. I think it's even more important to figure out how to communicate to them during those times to make sure like, you're not lying. You don't want to be the person that they know they can't come to because you're not like realistic with them.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be like, dang, you played really good today. And here's what I saw. And like, that wasn't your best game. Like, what the heck can we do? How can we be better next game? It's just, think about that. Humans crave honesty. I can't say that enough. We crave honesty. Social media is fake. Friends can be fake, especially if they're teenagers. Like, and they got boyfriend, girlfriend, right? All the stuff. Like, you want a place. Like, you think about when you feel the most safe, and it's when like there's not a lot of judgment around. When it's just like everybody's kind of chill. Nobody's fake. Nobody's judged. It's just like they need that environment where they know that they can be authentically themselves and there's no consequence for that.
Yeah.
Obviously within certain realm, you can't just go be crazy, right? But like, as a parent, that's what you do. But it's like, how can you create an environment where they're going to appreciate what you say and value what you say? And that the only way to get that is by being realistic with them. If you're constantly positive, they're not even going to want to bring it up. Right? It's the same. If you're constantly positive, they're not going to want to bring it up because you're not really adding any value to the conversation. Maybe every now and then you make them feel a little better, but on a day in and day out basis, that gets old, right?
Yeah.
And you also don't want to be the one that every time they see you, there's something that they could be better at.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, first and foremost, as parents, maybe stop talking as much, right? And like, let them talk. Let them talk. If your kid's talking, you're doing something right. Think about that.
That's right.
And how do you get your kids to talk? Ask better questions.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of saying, wow, that wasn't a really good game, be like, what'd you think, man? What'd you think, gal? And then when they play a good game, what'd you think? What'd you think? Right? Like come up with some way of consistently messaging them and not just like over positive or over negative. There's got to be a balance and a time and a place for all of that, you know?
Yeah.
And that way, when you are really positive about something because something amazing happens, it lands more because you're not like that every single day. Or when you do need to be mad about something or frustrated about something, or you do need to hold them accountable. Hey, I don't know what's going on, but you're being really like this isn't who you are. But if you do that every day, then when you actually do need it, it's not going to be impactful in any way, shape, or form.
I think it's a great point. And I worked for an athletic director once that every time he gave a speech, the first time I heard it, it was amazing. And then it got a little old because I heard it over and over again, but it was one of the best messages I've ever heard. What sport really can do is teach us how to give our best every single day. Mm-hmm. And instead of talking about this positive self-talk, I'll use my son, telling him that he's going to the NFL, which because he's 14 years old, and that is unrealistic for the percentage of kids that are going there. You just don't know if a 14-year-old is going to make it out of the house that day, much less be in the NFL when they're in their 20s. So talking to them about, instead of an outcome, what do you think about talking to them about how do you do your best and creating that sort of positive self-talk, no matter what the outcome was? How do we do our best? I'm going to do my best today. I'm going to get myself to a point where I'm thinking about how do I do my best?
Yeah. And maybe it's do my best, or maybe it's how do I just give myself the best chance to succeed? Like that's all I can do, right? Is I can go out there, I can do my best. Like if it's a team sport, there's a lot of other things that have to go into it. So like, how can I bring the focus back to me on the things I can control and what can I do about it? I think anytime the conversation is around processes or things they can control, it's a better and more productive conversation than when it's solely focused on outcomes or just the results of whatever it is that they did.
Yeah. Last thing with kids, you just talked about everything being fake, right? Like everything that they see
Everything.
isn't honest, and
Yeah.
so which can lead to a really negative space. And
Yeah.
if you talked about positive talk, over positive can be almost as bad or as bad as negative talk, but
Yeah.
negative self-talk can really be dangerous to a young kid's development if they get into that habit.
Yeah.
As a parent, how I see a kid
Yeah.
really down, continually
Yeah.
negative with themselves. I suck. I'm shitty.
Yeah.
I'm this, I'm that. And it's just continual. How
Yeah.
do I break that cycle
Yeah.
with that kid without creating a fairy tale for that kid?
Yeah, love that conversation. I think you have to have a similar conversation as we're having right now on like
Mm,
what are the long-term effects of constantly just beating yourself up. I think on one level, right, the best of the best athletes are hard on themselves, right? They are. You have to be. You have to have high expectations. But at the same time, I think they're able to see the good that they do and the progress that they're making. And so, how do we shift this conversation? Okay, I think we got to balance this out. I've noticed a lot of negativity lately, which happens, buddy, or it happens, gal. Like it happens. And I just don't want the negative thinking to create negative performances.
mm,
So let's try to balance this out a little bit. You can have negative thoughts. We all have negative thoughts, and we can all be mad about our performances. Chances are, if you want to be the best of the best and you're pushing yourself, you're probably going to have something negative to say every single day. But also, when you're pushing yourself and you're getting better and you're, I don't know, facing harder challenges and facing harder opponents, you're also going to see moments of growth every single day. So here's the deal. For every negative thing you say, you have to say something positive about what you saw today, too. Because we got to find a balance. We got to balance this out to help you realize there's always, 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 always going to be things I can get better at. And there's always, always, always going to be things I'm really good at. And you know what? As your mom or dad, I'm going to tell you something today that I didn't do well that I want to be better at, and something that I did well today too.
modeling again. There you go.
But like, think about the conversation you're creating. That's the realest conversation, and like one up, one down in the business world, right? It's the same concept, but like, think about that. That way we're not just like pumping their tires full of BS. And they have to come up with it and sit in the car or sit at the dinner table until they come up with something positive. I have sat there and literally I've sat in there, and the only positive thing this kid could come up with is I actually woke up 2 minutes before my alarm went off.
Yeah.
And it was like, it starts to, first of all, their brain's not even wired to see the good. It's only wired, especially teenagers. It's only wired to see the bad or how they failed or looked silly today or embarrassed themselves or whatever. And so you're rewiring it. And then when they know they have to find something positive, now their brain's going to start looking for more positive things because they know they have to have an answer for you. And in the beginning, like, let it be, oh, it was a nice day, or, oh, I got to wear my favorite shoes. Like, let it kind of be stuff. And then maybe as the conversation, if you have this conversation every freaking day, it can be like, no, give me something better. Give me something with more depth. Like give me something exciting that happened in practice today. It could be something you did well, or it could just be something you're proud of. Maybe you didn't even do it well, but it was a step above what you did yesterday. And that's a huge piece that needs to be recognized. But you start instilling that, and you're creating a humble, right? There's always things to get better, but also look what you did well, confident kid athlete, which is what everybody ideally needs to be, right?
I freaking love that. I used to do that with my team.
Yeah.
And it was amazing when we first started doing it. I had, go around the circle with 15 young women, and
Yeah.
they're all Division I Power 5 basketball players, and ask
Yeah.
them what they're good at. Right. And I get to this 3-time Olympian and All-American basketball, 6'4", youngest Olympian in the 2012 Olympics, and just a stud, right? Like, what are you good at, Michelle? Well, I'm a really good screener. I'm like, oh my God, you average 20 and 12. You're the best defender in the league.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's just frustrating, but you forget that they don't have the capability to be open and honest and vulnerable because of their fear of what someone's going to think if they sound maybe too arrogant on that side. So it's a balance.
Well, and you think about that, there are right and wrong times to talk about what you're good at. And you can't necessarily do that in a locker room. Like, even if other people are saying it, sometimes it's really hard for you to say it.
Yeah.
Parents, if you aren't creating the environment for your kid to be like, look what I freaking did today, that's on you.
Yeah.
Because
That's
they
the
can't
place it
really
should
do
happen.
that anywhere else.
That's right.
Like,
That's
think
the
about
place
that.
it should happen. Yeah.
Like, put
That's
the
great.
freaking A on the refrigerator.
That's great.
When they tell you something good, come home, bust through the door, say, Dad, listen to what Bethany did today. Like, tell Dad, you got to tell Dad what you got to tell Dad. That's sick. Like, hype them up on the good things. And then they will start to, like, again, you're modeling, right? What you make important, they make important. And so it's like you start to be pumped about that. And then we have a running joke. I have a 13-month-old and she'll fall and we're kind of like, oh, and she starts laughing, right? And my mom's like, this kid laughs when she like falls or makes mistakes. And I'm like, my parenting job is done, right? Like, it's like, how do we create these little things where like, as soon as something happens, she looks at me at my reaction. And it's kind of like, we fell. It's okay. Like, and it's just like those little things, I think, that make the biggest difference. But I think the key takeaway is you are the safe space. So again, on both hands, you're the safe space. Maybe you're the one person they can rip themselves apart in front of. They can't do that in the locker room either. And they also can't walk in the locker room and be like, look what I did today, boys. You can't do that. So give them the platform, the space to do both and encourage them to do both. Maybe you've got somebody who's also too positive and they actually have a lot of things they need to work on. And so it's the same exact thing, but you're challenging them. Okay, I need to work on this. What do you need to work on? Right. It's the same conversation, but the opposite side.
I freaking love that. And by the way, I just dropped a kid off at college, my daughter off at college. Your parenting job's not done. So it's
never done. Come on. My mom's here right now and she's still parenting me. Like, is this good? She's like, it's your kid. I'm like, I don't know.
It's awesome. Well, let's jump out of young people and into old people. So we talked about a lot in our last episode in leadership about authenticity, right? And so this may go a different direction than what I had initially thought about when I first started writing down notes. But power of positivity in the workplace by leaders. Yeah. What kind of impact can this have? That's the question I wrote down. Yeah. And in today's world, right, there's such a tumultuous up and down. Everybody's nervous about what's going on in the economy. And so it may not be a positive environment. It may not be authentic to be positive. So I'd love your thoughts kind of. My thought process changed completely from our last conversation to this, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that. The power of positivity in the workplace. And is that good? Is it false? Is it, where does that go?
I think to a certain extent it's great, right? But I wrote down as you were talking, people don't want fake either. Like if they come in and it's like, woohoo, we're going to have ice cream after lunch, but like some shit just hit the absolute fan and it's horrible and everybody's pissed off. Like that's not going to help, right? It'll probably make it worse because now we're pretending like there's not real issues going on and we're just going to brush over and have some ice cream. Like what? Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I think it's a balance. Again, it's always some sort of balance of like, yes, they need to be positive, but it's more realistic positivity. And it's funny when you think about the kids, I almost feel like it's easier for the parent. It's not easy. It's hard, but it's easier to create a safe space at home. But how do you create a safe space at work? Is that your company's responsibility to create a culture where it's like, I mean, you obviously want to optimize performance. So I would say yes, right? In order to optimize humans' performance, we have to find the balance of things you're doing well and also things you need to work on. But I think it comes back to like, is that just like how we operate, right? And not just usually really fake positivity in the workspace is because we're trying to cover up bigger issues, which is really dangerous waters to be trudging through, right? So, I don't know. I don't know very many people who come to work and want to see super fake, bubbly, everything's so great. And it's like, no, the office is on fire. You know what I mean? And so it's more like, we're going through it, but like, how can we help? How can we make it a little better? Like it could even just be the boss being like, I know we're freaking grinding right now. If you're an accountant and you're through tax season and it's like, boys, girls, this is it. This is the hard part right here. Like, how can we make this better? Maybe I saw something like this girl gets free Uber rides after 7:00 if she works late at the office, right? It's like things like that I think make it a lot more manageable, tolerable, if you will. Like, because sometimes we have to tolerate stuff at work, but like it's not like let's throw a band-aid on it, but it's like, okay, these are the real issues, the real struggles, the hardships, challenges that our employees are working with. What could we do to help? Not, we might not be able to get out of it, right? It's a hard season. We're going through something, like it can't just disappear, but what can we do to just support them while they're going through this? Like, what would be the most helpful? Is it a little bit later starts, earlier, whatever? I don't know. Like, that's where each company has to get pretty creative and think about what works best for them. But you gotta meet them where they're at, right?
Yeah, that what you answered my next question, was that how do you create that environment, and not a positive, like over, like
Yeah.
just false positive, right? That there's
Yeah.
nothing worse than that person, but creating that environment that's a positive work culture,
Yeah.
that is a positive place to show up during a feeling of non-optimism.
Yeah.
That's probably not a word, but
Relate.
not having an optimistic thought
Yeah.
process about where we're going. I mean, I have tons of friends my age that are in corporate America right now, that you go to work scared every day that that might be their last day, right?
Totally.
It is a
Totally.
horrible feeling. So how can leadership who doesn't have control of that create an environment where at least someone still feels comfortable coming into the
Yeah.
workplace?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hard
That's a good
question.
question. Yeah. I wrote down, communicate, like, relate to what they're going through. Like, again, I think not a cold email, but like even just like a face to face, something can go a long way,
Yeah.
right? Empathy, show empathy, like be like, oh, I know this is hard. I'm feeling it too, you guys, and I see how freaking hard you're working. And maybe even straight up ask, what can I do to help us, support us as we get through this hardship, this challenge right now? I see you. I'm here. So you're giving affirmations, you're supporting them verbally, but like asking, like, what could we do to make this situation better? Like, we're kind of wearing it right now. What could we do? Start with your leaders. And then I think the job security part is another aspect, but it's like a lot of those things are outside of their control, right? So all you can do is create that psychologically safe environment where people feel like they're good at their job. They show up, they do what they can, they're safe, like from like embarrassment from a daily basis, maybe not safe from firing, like we can't control that, but like at least the day in and day out environment we're trying to create is something that they feel comfortable at, and they can come in, they know what the expectations are, they're trying to meet those expectations, and now they feel seen, right? I think a lot of times when you're going through something hard, it's like, does this guy even know what I'm doing right now? Do they even know what we're going through? So like if that person can communicate and show some form of relate, like just being able to relate to what they're going through, I think that goes a lot farther than people think.
Yeah, I love it, and we're gonna in a future episode. I don't know if it'll be the next one or soon hereafter. We're gonna talk about performance anxiety,
Yeah.
and performance anxiety can be job anxiety, can just be showing up every day, right? And
Totally.
it's true in sports, and it's true in athletics. But I want to go backwards. This is why I wanted to have this conversation after the leadership conversation, the authentic approach and the
Yeah.
honest approach that you talked about during
Yeah.
that episode.
Yeah.
It may not be the most quote unquote false positive charismatic, but that is an approach that is going to help people navigate kind of trying
Yeah.
times if
Yeah.
you're authentic and honest with people.
Yeah, and they know what to expect, and you don't panic when things get challenging. You're the same person, like, but your door's still open. Like maybe they just need to come in and vent for a little bit, and allow them. Like maybe that's the safe space that we're talking about. Like you can create that. You can let them come in and say what they're frustrated with, and you can tell them what they're doing well, and then they can be on their merry way, right? And like
Yeah.
they can just have those conversations of like, this is really hard, and you can say, yeah, I freaking know, like, but it won't last forever, and what can I do to best support you and support
Yeah.
our team through this? Like,
Yeah.
I think that goes, so it seems so simple, but it's not done nearly as much as it should be.
Well, negative thoughts start happening in your head when
Yeah.
you don't know stuff, right?
100%.
Like when you're unsure, when
Yeah.
there's something out there that might be coming that I don't know about. And you
Yeah.
can't, as leaders, you can't tell everybody everything,
Right.
but being as honest and transparent about what you're experiencing and what you're going through,
Yeah.
is at least the person on the other end of it knows. They can walk
Right.
away with like, that may not be the answer that I wanted to hear, but at
Right.
least I know it.
Right. 100%. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot we could dive into there, but I think we'll get into that. We'll double down on this when we get into that performance anxiety, that
Yeah.
fear of showing up, because there's some power of positivity of training, kind of how you move your brain to get to where you want to go, that we can add into that. I think this is great for today. Anything else that I might have missed that you want to throw in here?
No, I hope this message hits people, and like it's not all just about sunshines and rainbows. Like it's really not. And that the way you have the most impact is creating safe spaces, being realistic, and you can be realistic with optimism, right? Like this is really hard what you're going through, but I know you're going to get through it, right? It's that's better than being like, oh, everything's fine, right? And that's the easy way out. And I think sometimes why this is hard is because you kind of have to feel what they feel. You have to practice that empathy. You kind of got to get down on their level, and really feel what they're feeling and experience that. And don't be afraid to just slow down, whether you're a boss or a parent, hear them out, challenge them to have those positive, helpful thoughts, but also the hurtful ones, and like let them become aware of what those are and that they're normal, but be that safe space, and just let them talk, let them figure it out. Because it's called talk therapy for a reason, right? Sometimes just talking and talking and talking, and you asking the right questions, and like, well, what are we going to do about that? Well, how does that make you feel? What's this going to happen, right? We're not therapists. I'm not a therapist. You might be a therapist. You might not be a therapist, but you don't have to be a therapist to make an impact. And you don't have to be a therapist to make a safe space for your kid or for your work environment and your employees either.
I love it. And I got to interview Trevor Huesman. It probably will have come out before we release this. And he said something that youth sports teaches is empathy for others around you going through the same difficult time you're going through, and going through a losing streak as a young player, right? Or a tough time. This is why sports are so important. When you get into that tough time later on in life, whether it's in work and family, whatever that is, being able to learn at a young age how to have empathy for yourself, how to have empathy for others that are going through a similar situation you are, is going to help you later on in life. And these two things are so intertwined with what we talk about.
100%. That's why we love sports.
That's why we love sports. Well, Hannah, how do people find you? Thank you again. This is so much fun for me. I love all of our guests, but doing a series like this has been a blast for me. Kind of the consistency of your messaging is pretty remarkable. How do people find you if they want to work with you, if they want to get a hold of you, beyond what they're just listening to here on this podcast?
I'm all over social media, just Hannah Huesman. I'm on LinkedIn, and then I have a sweet website that's just hannahhuesman.com. So feel free to reach out, let us know you heard the podcast, and see what conversations happen next.
Yeah. Well, and like I always say, please share this with your friends. And if you ever want to hear something, whether it's Hannah and I or me on a different show, you want to hear a guest, or you want to hear a topic discussed related to something that you're going through, I've had people reach out to me, and we've tried to accommodate that. So please feel free to reach out, recommend this to your friends, and Hannah, until next time, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate it.